Hey guys, Steve here with the strategy session for July 17th, 2014. Before we get into today's action, I just want to touch on the trade that we had in Time Warner that we closed out this morning. I had sent a tweet last night and also posted a brief blog post on the blog itself, just to make sure that everybody was following along, understood that we were going to be exiting the trade. The reason I exited the trade, as you can see here, we did have a positive day on a very weak tape, but the reason I exited the trade was, from my experience, it's always been where, if you get a buyout or a potential buyout, the stock may advance a little bit more. Maybe there's a higher bid that comes in, whatever it is. But the fact is, we made a 17 or 18% gain in approximately 7 days. 17.82% gain in 7 days. So that's nothing to kind of shake a stick at. You really don't want to give that back. Probably is going to be some more upside in that, and that's not typically how we would exit trades. But then there could be news that, hey, the deal falls through and the stock's all the way back down at 74, and we can't have that. That's not acceptable, I guess is the best word. But the only thing I said we could potentially do was take our stop from this 67.80, move it up to, say, right here, 81. But that doesn't prevent anything, a gap or anything that closes or opens below that price and continues down. So I felt within the time frame that we had that gain and the fact that it was a buyout, this potentially could become dead money. Maybe it moves sideways for 3-4 months. Who knows? But, like I said, a 17.82% gain in 7 days. I'll take that any day of the week. So we decided to close the trade out. We'll see what happens. If it sets up again, fine. If not, then you know what? We had a good trade and we'll move on. So, especially with earnings coming out, it's just a toss-up at this point. So I'd rather just take the gain and move on. With that said, let's get into today's market action, which obviously was not the best for the bulls. Really didn't start out that way, but I guess with the news from the airline that had crashed, it really sent the market down. As I said in the free trade, we got our first major close below this uptrend, this accelerated uptrend line. We had some pushes below it, but this is actually the first close below that and also the close below this consolidation area that we had identified. So we may be pushing back down to this 1904. Who knows? There are some areas of support that I would identify along the way, but until we see a major follow through, if we get another big bar like this tomorrow down 24 points, then I would say yes, we're in correction mode and potential for lower prices. With that said, that doesn't really change the way we trade. That may seem counterintuitive, but we're still going to buy breakouts. We're still looking for long entries because we are overall in a weekly uptrend. So, this is a pullback. Even if it pulls back to the weekly support trend line at this 1900, then the fact is we're still looking to buy breakouts. We're not in a down market. So we'll go through our positions real quick. As you can see here, none of them besides TWX were up. But TWX we did exit at the open. So Apple down 1.78%. Back in the middle of consolidation, hitting that trend line with earnings coming up. It looks like the 22nd, which I believe is Tuesday. So right now stop is still down here at this 90.18 level. Until that gets triggered, we have to assume that this is still in an uptrend, but we are bouncing off weekly resistance on this channel, so it is a potential that come back down into this 84, 85 level, which of course we would be out well before. ADM, as you saw in the free trade, or may not have seen, and if you didn't see, make sure you subscribe to the free trade idea. Sometimes Just so happens right now that ADM is also a stock that we are long, but there may be times when the free trade may be something different than what's in the strategy sessions and what's what we're long in the model portfolio. So I definitely recommend subscribing to that and making sure you're following that as well. But as we said, we really have had a pullback since that doji. Small pullback with today's action. The fact that we're only down less than 1% is good. The fact that we are still kind of in this upper range of this weekly bar is a good sign. So for right now, stop still stays 43.51. Potential to move the stop, early next week to this 46 level if we can get a little bit more sideways action and potentially identify this as a small consolidation, which it's starting to look as though that is what it was. American Tower. This one basically pulling back to our entry level. This was the previous resistance that now is new support, bouncing along this trend line. So until we break that and start breaking into these support areas into consolidation, that's when we would start to worry about this. But with earnings coming up on the 30th, really not much to do here. Amazon, really moving sideways since these two strong days. Again, only down 1% on a very weak day. 3 days basically sideways action. So this one could be resting, maybe pull back a little bit, come back and test this area in this 337, which was again previous resistance becoming new support and also the trend line support. So that could be how this one plays out. We may pull back and then go higher. EQR down 0.6%. Again, we had a little bit of a march higher. I guess this is 7 or 8 days of higher prices. Finally got a lower day, and even in that, it wasn't anything that we would be concerned with. It wasn't like it was down 3 or 4%, down 0.6% when the market was down. What was the market down? Market was down almost 1.28%, and the futures are actually still selling off after hours now, which usually isn't a good sign, especially after a day like today. So EQR, again, not much going on there, not much to worry about. Fidelity, again, we had 3 or 4 days of higher prices. Finally got our first close below previous day's low. So we may be coming back into this general area here, this 55.41, and see what happens. Earnings coming up on the 29th, but again, until it breaks this trend line, not really very concerned with it. Mondelez, our entry was essentially the high. Unfortunately, we've pulled back 3 days in a row, coming back into this consolidation area and also to this trend line. So, maybe this is a failed breakout, maybe not. I'm not sure. But right now, price dictates, and price is saying lower pricing and maybe sideways. Doesn't really look like it wants to push higher until we start getting, obviously, closing prices above this 38, 33 level. But for now, our stop is 37.06, and earnings are the 6th. TWX we went over. Last one is Windham. This one is much more of a substantial pullback today. After we had entered, really went sideways, tried to break out, closed lower. Not usually a good sign because there's not enough buying pressure there to keep prices higher. And since we had that day, we've had 3 more days of down action. Could be coming back into this 75.13 and this trend line support, and earnings are on the 23rd. So, this one, again, same thing as I think it was Amazon, could be coming back into here and for another bounce higher. But, stop is still well outside of, any being triggered or anything like that at 72.50. 2 stocks that were up today were Microsoft, and I know I tweeted out earlier this morning that I didn't really have a chance to look at anything last night. So I think we did miss an entry in Microsoft from what I had identified in the model portfolio in the weekend update with a stop over 42.20. an alert over 42.20 yesterday. Nice strong day. Don't even know if there was news. Couldn't even tell you. I could obviously look it up, but fact is, news doesn't matter. Price matters. So we had a breakout here. That would have triggered our entry with our stop below this 40.68. Unfortunately, we missed that one, but there'll be others. And obviously, we would have been filled at 45.47. So we would have been already down on the trade. So sometimes it works out that you don't take the trades. Sometimes better to be lucky than good. And the only other one that was up today was Mackenzie. Still moving sideways, really consolidating above this support area or resistance area. And earnings coming up with that one on the 31st. So this one may move sideways for a pop higher. I think that's it for today, guys. Unfortunately, the events over in Russia and with the Malaysian airline really dictated the day, I think, towards the end. So our thoughts and prayers are obviously with those people involved, first of all. Second of all, I try not to really turn on the news or read too much into everything because, as harsh as it sounds, the fact that airline went down does not change anything or my thoughts in how these stocks are reacting, because we look at price and the news kind of sometimes blows things out of proportion and creates a panic, and sometimes a panic is what today was panic selling. People freaked out and that was the reason for the sell-off. So again, could easily happen tomorrow, but in 2-3 weeks, the fact that airline went down, again, thoughts and prayers with those people, but that's not going to change how the price reacts, and it's not going to change anything about the companies or anything, or even remotely. The price obviously is going to go down if there's a sell-off, but the fact is, we're going to just follow the price, and if the price tells us to get out of a stock or get into a stock, then we're going to do so. So again, we'll have the weekend update out over the weekend. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the free trade and to the YouTube channel. Also follow me on Twitter and StockTwits. And guys, I'm really trying to push some comments and on either on the YouTube videos or in the blog posts themselves. Just see if this is working out for everybody, and how I can improve, or how you feel I can improve maybe the videos or the information that's being put out. But like I said, we'll have the weekend update out over probably Saturday evening, and then see you guys next week. All right, guys, take care.